Oh,
So, okay, episode 2.
what is it about?
Oh, oh.
Stomach still hurts from the cookies?
Yeah, yesterday a patient, an athlete, dropped us off those micro cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just down the street. We shop locally here at the sports spot. They're just down the street next to the meat shop. And I ate that whole damn jar. It's these mini. Can you explain to the viewers what these look like?
They're like mini cookies, like a little marble kind of.
Yeah, you would say like the size of your pinky finger nail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like small.
Yeah.
Like you could eat
But it ate
1,000
the
of them.
Thing. I don't even know. We can play a game where we guess how many were in the jar.
Yeah, or figuring out how many of those small cookies make up one normal cookie.
True.
I would say at least 30 of those small cookies makes up one cookie.
Yeah, depending upon what size you're looking at the cookie at.
I would say probably if you had to mix them into one cookie, it was an equivalent of like 2 or maybe 3 cookies.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I felt like a diabetic bastard after, so.
And you had an ice cream sandwich.
I had an ice cream sandwich. It was a bad sugar day for me. My A1C was through the roof.
Yeah, you probably didn't feel so great.
Through the roof. Okay, well, enough of this banter. Okay. This is going to be our second episode. I don't know when we're going to drop this one. The last one we dropped fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. This time we're going to take our sweet time. Okay. I would love to do 12 episodes varying throughout the month. Not the month, but through the year. Yeah, one. Like I want to drop one a month.
One a month. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like 12 a month. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot of episodes.
Yes.
No, I wanted to drop at least once a month because we're very busy, and I think that it takes time to do these things, which is proven. We only do these things when we have time.
Yep.
In between athletes. Okay, so today we're going to talk a little bit about something that you experienced, which also let's just rewind this back. Some of these podcasts have to be your idea. Remember, the whole goal is to like surprise me. Okay. I'm going to surprise you again at the second episode, but the third and fourth episode, you better come up with something.
Got it.
From the noggin, right here. Mm-hmm. Unagi.
Okay. It'll come from my unagi.
Unagi.
Yeah.
It's something that you had talked about earlier in our last episode, which was your transition from being a gymnast to soccer player and then to nothing. And we do see a lot of student athletes, the Seans out there. Also, I think that we need to change. I think we got to change. I think we keep Sarah, which is our therapist avatar. Sean is our little boy student athlete. Okay. But Steve, because he wasn't even there for your ACL. Like he was at work. I get it. Somebody's got to work out of the family.
Yeah.
Right. Just in case you did actually have to pay for it.
Exactly.
You had a
It would have been him paying for it.
Yeah. You had a quick scare there.
Yes.
Squares. Quick scare
yes.
of, you might actually have to pay this yourself.
Yeah.
And Steve was stamping. I don't know what he does, but I imagine he was like milling something. Like there was sparks in the background. He's like, my daughter's getting an ACL repaired today. I got to keep on milling.
Exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
So he was there with you in heart and mind, but he wasn't there physically.
No.
But I think that we should make a change to, because Jennifer was there and Jennifer likes all of our Instagram posts. So, and I don't see Steve.
He doesn't have Instagram.
Yeah. What's up, Steve? No Instagram, no TikTok. We're throwing this gold content out there, and you ain't even liking it. Jennifer was on top of it.
She is on top of it.
We're going to make it. Do we agree? Let's just vote right now. Okay. All voting members voting yay on changing Steve avatar to the Jennifer avatar.
Let's do it.
Yay. Okay, Jennifer.
I think she'll be happy.
You're the new avatar, which is the parents slash layman person out there.
Mm-hmm.
So back to what we were talking about, which was your change of between gymnastics to soccer and then soccer to non-athlete. So let's start with how did you get into gymnastics in the first place?
I mean, I think I was like 2 or something. My mom just put me in it. I just liked to, jump around and do things, and I
How
liked to
old were
dance.
you?
I was like 2 years old,
2 years old.
like
Wow.
2 or 3. I was really little. I might be wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
like 3 or 4.
Well, we have proven in the last episode that your memory
My
isn't
memory isn't great
necessarily
when
the
it comes to my
greatest.
life when
Yes.
it's not present day.
Yeah. Or even yesterday, or even 10 minutes ago.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just say around 2 or 3 ish.
Yeah.
And it was just a decision that your parents just made. Did you have a gymnastics gym like near your house?
Yeah.
Was that the kind of genesis of it?
I think so. I mean, like I said, I don't remember exactly if I went to the same. I think I did because I did cheer too. So I think it was a little bit of cheer mixed with gymnastics. And then I actually went to a gym probably when I was a bit older.
How old?
Probably I honestly don't know, 5 or 6.
So it's not uncommon to at the beginning ages like that, at
It's just,
2 to 4. I mean, it's pretty impressive that you're even doing anything gymnastic-y. It's just to expose kids to
Yeah.
gymnastics and cheer. I would assume all you were really doing was
Jumping around and
somersaults.
somersaults.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I wasn't doing any back handsprings
Trampoline.
and
Yeah, you might be just jumping on the trampoline. You
Exactly.
ain't doing anything.
No.
Yeah, you're not doing like double twists or
No. Going on the bars or beam or
bars
vault or
beam,
anything.
Yeah. And so you transitioned from cheer, or not cheer, but it was probably a little bit of cheer and dance and gymnastics.
Because I did ballet. My mom just kind of was putting me
Yeah.
in a little bit of everything, just see what
Yeah.
I liked,
Yeah. Which is a great, again, Jen. I'm assuming Jen was the driving force here. That's exactly, if I had kids, that's what I would do. I would just expose them to as many different ways of movement as possible.
Tap too.
Yeah.
Remember, I loved the tap shoes.
Jazz. Did you do jazz?
I don't think I did
What
jazz.
about hip hop? Did you
I
do
did hip
hip hop? Yeah.
Hip hop was a little later though, when I was like 10.
Oh, you didn't do hip hop at 2?
No.
Rude.
I wasn't dancing to Hot in Here
Yeah.
with hip hop.
Her favorite song is Nelly, Hot in Here.
It was.
It's embarrassing.
It was. Not anymore.
She knows every word to
I
that
do.
song. So Jen and Steve put you into gymnastics. You eventually transitioned to full gymnastics at 5.
I would say my guess.
5 or
yes.
6. Tell me your experience between 6 to when did you decide to change over? 10, 11?
11 or 12 or something
Okay.
like
So
that.
what was
yeah.
6 to 12? So you had a good 6 years of gymnastics. What was that schedule like? What was the experience like?
I don't remember how often I went. I would say maybe 2 to 3 times a week is probably what I did. And I always remember when you warm up and everyone's getting in the lines and we're all doing our stretches and whatnot, and then running around the mat and then doing all that. And then my favorite thing then was doing the tumble track. That was literally my favorite.
Explain to the Jennifers and not the Sarahs, because Sarah should know. Maybe Sean might not know. So what is a tumble track?
It's a really long trampoline, basically. And that's where you do a lot of your floor routine, I guess, on there to practice doing your back hamstrings, your back tucks, all
Right.
that kinds of floor stuff.
So there's also rod floor, which is what?
Is that the vault floor? Or
No.
No, I'm not sure what that one is.
So rod floor is like the in between to the actual floor. So
Oh, okay. I don't know the name.
what we do in gymnastics to get them ready is we do, what was it? What did you
The tumble track?
tumble track first, because it's super springy. It's like a trampoline. It
Yeah.
absorbs a lot of force. So when we are training our gymnasts back, we do that,
Yep.
and then we do rod floor, and then
And
we
then
progress
floor.
back to floor.
Got it.
Because floor is springy.
Yeah.
Rod
but-
floor is a little bit more springier and it absorbs a little bit, and then tumble track is real springy.
Got it.
So you generally start, and flooring in sports in general is a very important variable, but very important in gymnastics, especially the progression. You wouldn't put a 5-year-old gymnast
No.
on full floor.
No.
And
That'd be
and your
pretty difficult.
yeah, and your floor even at 5 years old, your floor routine is like literally 15 seconds.
Yeah, you're like a somersault and maybe
Yeah.
a cartwheel if you can
Yeah,
even have that.
exactly. So you started at 5,
Mhm.
you started to progress. How far did you get into gymnastics?
I remember I got maybe I know it was like level maybe 4 or 5. It was right before going onto a team because they had
Okay.
asked my mom if I could join a team, and she
Okay.
said no because that was
Why?
like 4 hours every day for training. And my mom's
Ooh.
like, "That's a lot." And I think at the time my brother had been born, so I think it was just too much
Yeah,
to do. And she was like, "She's so little. That's a lot of time to be
it's true.
putting."
It's a huge
Yeah.
commitment.
So and it
Jennifer
probably
was
was.
seeing the tea leaves way before.
Yeah.
She was like, I am not making that commitment.
I'm not sitting
Steve,
there for four
yeah,
hours.
she's like, it's just me. Steve's working at the mill all day long. I have to take care of these 2 kids. I'm basically a single mother. I have no idea. I'm just making this up, Steve. Don't be mad.
Yeah, who knows? He could have taken me to some of those. We don't
Yeah,
know.
we don't know,
I
but it
don't
doesn't
remember.
sound like it. He didn't take you to the ACL surgery, so I highly doubt that he was taking you to gymnastics.
Hey, he was there the day that I tore it, though. So
That's
there we
true.
go.
He was at
He
least
came.
at the soccer game. Kudos, Steve. But wasn't Robbie there too?
Not that day. It was a practice. It wasn't a game.
Oh.
Remember?
Why was your dad at practice?
No, when they came to pick me up.
Oh.
Yeah, they
So,
came to pick me up, and then they took me to because they wanted me to get an X-ray,
yeah.
and then that's when Robbie showed up.
Oh, Robbie showed up way later. Anyways,
He was in
to
class.
to get back on track because you have to have heard the episode before this
Yeah, to
really
understand.
understand what the fuck we're talking about here. So Jen was like, I'm not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 hours a day. And honestly, that's actually quite low
Really?
for a competitive gymnast. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It might. I don't know. That's just what I remember. My
Yeah.
mom saying it was something around that. It was just, it's a lot, and I was so little that she's just like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, competitive gymnastics by 10 years old, you're almost doing it 7 hours a day.
Whew, that's a lot.
Yeah, you're already homeschooled at that point, and
Yeah.
they're putting you on a fast track onto level 6, 7, 8, 9,
Got it.
junior elite, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I have a whole opinion and statement on that whole culture of gymnastics, which is absolutely high pressure,
Yeah.
insane amounts of training, and insane amounts of overuse injuries. However, that's not this conversation. We'll digress. You changed over. So it wasn't really necessarily your choice. If you had the choice, would you have wanted to continue to do gymnastics?
No, because I also was kind of getting a little bit bored with it because I wanted to be on the team and because I kind of wanted people to come and watch me do something because like I felt like that's when you got to
Yeah.
the team is when obviously you got to compete more.
Right.
And so I wasn't really doing that, and I also didn't necessarily want to also compete at the same time. So like it's only me that they're looking at. So I was like, I want to try something else. And my mom played softball and soccer, so we kind of just started practicing those on our own to see which one I would like.
Uh-huh.
And then I ended up obviously choosing soccer.
Yeah,
So,
you would have been a terrible softball player.
yeah, I would have been absolutely
Yeah.
awful.
You would have been great, continued to do gymnastics because you're
Yeah.
petite and small. So you would have been great. However, it would have been a ton
Yeah.
of practice and a ton of skill training.
Which I did. I do sometimes think, I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I would have kind of stayed with it and just
Yeah.
kind of see where I went with it.
Uh-huh.
Because like you said, I have the stature of it and everything. But I also had broken my arm when I was 9, and it was bothering me when I was doing any kind of floor stuff.
So
And
did
I
you
think
have
that
any
also.
rehab with that after the broken arm? You were just like cast off back to doing back handsprings and
I'm
floor
sure I didn't go
routines.
right back into it. I don't.
Vault.
I'm sure I did not go right back into it, but it would bother me every now and then. So I kind of just, along with the kind of wanting to be a part of a team-based thing, and then my arm bothering me, I kind of just wanted to stop too.
This is a common theme in gymnastics. One, you can kind of tell which gymnasts are going to make it
Make
all the
it.
way through. And I can see it on the buy-in and the rehab stuff, right? So by 10 or 11, you're starting to have some injuries
Yeah.
and they're starting to accumulate.
I mean, the
And
injury wasn't from gymnastics,
yeah.
but it was outside of it, and it was such a bad one that it went into the whole.
Well, I mean, gymnastics is essentially whatever issues you have with your body, it's gasoline.
Yeah.
It will accelerate everything. So if you have a tiny tendonitis, it will become a tendinosis and then
Yeah.
a full tear in literally a matter of weeks, maybe even days, right? So
Yeah.
it's a it's I can usually tell how committed the athlete is to doing the rehab of whether or not they're going to make it. I can also tell whether or not they have intrinsic motivation or their parents are having to push them through this or their parents are making them get this injury done, which in this sport, in gymnastic sport especially, you can tell which gymnasts are there because they want to be there
Yeah.
and which ones are there because the parents are there. And that is
Mm-hmm.
another completely different episode. One day we'll have a gymnastics coach here and we'll really delve into that. But so you changed. Did you feel like your years of gymnastics helped you be a pretty solid soccer player?
Yeah, I was pretty quick. Like that was my one of my like strong suits playing soccer because I'm not big, so I had to use different talent to
Yeah,
play.
agility.
So agility was my thing, endurance was a big thing for me, and that all comes from gymnastics.
Right.
So I feel like yes, it did help.
Did you feel like you moved better? Did you feel like you could juggle better?
Juggling was a really actually super easy for me and still is. And
Yeah.
I haven't done it in a long time. I maybe did it last year around this time for the first time in a long time, and
Yeah.
I still could do it as if I had done it yesterday.
Yeah.
So that has always
Well,
been something that I could do for sure.
naturally.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have a lot of
Not a lot of train. I mean, like I had a coach who was from Hungary, and like I always do his camps every summer, and it was like 4 hours every morning, and we would do juggling
juggling.
in the beginning, and it's kind of like a warm up thing, but it wasn't like a strict like, oh, you have to do this. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, just do this for a little bit, see how many you can get, you know.
Oh.
So we would do that all the time, but so that obviously helped, but it was something that was easy for me from the start.
In studies with long-term studies of observing children athletes or student athletes and how to build a really solid athlete. One is to expose them to as many different sports because
Yeah.
those sports cross-pollinate oftentimes, and you might not actually have to teach them a specific skill like juggling. Like this is a great example. You didn't necessarily have to get taught directly juggling because you kind of had that foot-eye coordination from gymnastics
Yeah.
and it just carried over into soccer. So for those Jennifers out there who want to really build a solid athlete, which in America it's very one sport dependent, which is creates all kinds of different issues, mental issues, physical issues, but it also doesn't allow them to be great athletes. If you look at like the best NFL quarterbacks, they were all multi-talented
Yeah.
athletes from different sports. Patrick
Baseball,
Mahomes was
basketball.
a baseball player, basketball player. He's an exceptional golfer. Those types of athletes, those generational types of athletes, were all good at something else too. So you move into soccer
Yep.
from 11 to when?
20.
Wow. So you had a good 10 years there essentially.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming you did like showcases,
Yeah. I started just obviously on like a normal
club
club,
team.
not a club team. I started on just like a recreational team
rec
basically.
team. Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, my parents didn't know and they just put me in like the typical one that everybody does where I'm from.
Right.
Right now, I can't think of the name of it.
I feel like it's like the Calabasas Soccer Kicks Tournament League. Am I close?
No.
Am I close? Jennifer, am I close?
No, for some reason I can't remember of it. But I did that for a while. But I would always you'd play on your normal team and then they would have all-star games. So then you would
Okay.
pick your all-stars from the team and then you would play in the all-star game. So I would do that. And then once I did that for a couple years, then I got onto a tournament team. And then I played tournament for a while and then I went into club once I got into like I think it was junior high, like 7th grade is when I started doing an actual club.
Okay. That's about the progression. So Kayla's from California. Don't they have that really big tournament called the Robbie?
The Robbie.
Yeah, the
I
Robbie.
don't know.
There's
I was
also
never a part of one called the Robbie.
there's another California tournament in soccer. It's called Surf and
Oh, yeah. That's the one in Huntington, I
yeah.
believe.
What is it
Yeah.
called?
It's like surf and sand or something like that,
I don't know. It's a
maybe.
huge
But I know
tournament.
which one. I believe it's
Ton
in
of Texas,
Huntington.
yeah, ton
Yeah.
of Texas teams go,
Mm-hmm.
and California is one of the most. So California in general is
Mm-hmm.
one of the most competitive athletic states,
For sure.
both for gymnastics. Honestly, probably all
All
sports,
sports. Yeah.
but specifically gymnastics has a very large showing from California. Soccer, you
Mm-hmm.
guys have tons of soccer teams.
There's a lot.
Texas is this like close second,
Oh,
man. Like
okay.
Texas has a ton of soccer, a ton of gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Those two regions honestly dominate athletics. If you get a top recruit from Texas or from
Mm-hmm.
California, they're
You know,
gonna
they're
be
good.
yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
be good recruits.
Mm-hmm.
So explain me the transition from club to how did you decide which college you went to?
Which college I went to? So
Yeah,
I've also played high school too.
yeah.
So I did that.
You played
College.
you played high school ball.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no one cares about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but
but I
you
played
you
that.
played club through high school,
Yes. Yeah.
and then I'm assuming through high school
Mm-hmm.
you played a bunch of showcases. Explain to people what showcases are.
Basically, it's just a tournament where all the teams come and you have a bunch of different coaches from different school or colleges come and watch your games. And they might let you know, or they might just kind of show up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get an email from them, sometimes you won't. You're hoping that they might be there if you haven't heard from them. I unfortunately, like, I didn't really know the process of it, and my parents didn't either. I'm the first
Yeah.
child, and like they didn't. My mom didn't go that far with soccer,
Yeah.
so like we didn't really know what to do. So and the team I was on, we went to a few, but like, and I was also never kind of like, oh, I'm gonna go and really play. I was like,
Right.
if it were to happen, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I went to a few. I got not recruited, but like just like, hey, come and stay, come meet the team, come and play
Right.
with us to one college, and then I think a couple others, but nothing really came out of it. One of the schools I absolutely just did not want to go to.
Right.
It just was like, this is like the desert. I'm good. Other one,
She's talking about Texas Tech, guys. She's talking about Texas Tech.
everything was in
Oh
California.
man, you are gonna make a bunch of Red Riders. Is it Red Riders? I don't even know.
I don't know.
What is Texas Tech? Is it I know it's like the Yosemite Sam gun. There's gonna
I
be so
don't
many
know.
Texas Tech people that are gonna be so pissed at this podcast.
I couldn't tell you.
The only worse school from outside of Texas Tech is the Texas Aggies. Like they just
Oh.
don't shut the fuck up about being an
A&M?
Aggie. Yeah. Oh, my
It's a
God.
cult.
It is seriously.
All their rings and all their traditions and the
Ugh.
different clubs that they're a part
Yeah,
of.
it is. I mean,
It is.
oh, it's just like going through the wash with the Texas A&M people. So you only were focused on Californian schools.
Yeah, I had no intention of going out of the state for soccer. If I had some schools that I was looking at, but I wasn't going to play soccer for them. I was just going. I just did it to have other things on my list to
Yeah.
apply to.
So you end up going to college for soccer, and then in our previous podcast, we find out that she has an ACL, and everything that you would not ever do in an ACL tear is
Yeah.
what Kayla did.
Yeah.
She had a decision to make after that ACL tear. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that mental process?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, when it happened, it was really difficult just because I had just taken an athletic injuries class, so I automatically when it happened, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I did.
Right.
Even though I didn't have any of the normal indications that I had torn my ACL, I still knew. So that was already tough to be like, okay, well, now I'm done for this season. And it was my sophomore year, so I was like, well, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, and then because everything kind of just went bad with the whole knee thing in general, I kind of sat there and I was like, do I want to stay here an extra? Because I was only in junior college, so I didn't go to an actual university and play. And I had already done most of my classes. That was supposed to be my last year because I wanted to be in junior college for only 2 years and then get out.
Yeah.
Which I was doing a great track of doing that. And I was like, do I really want to stay and just at junior college and take random classes just to play soccer when I'm not going pro, like that just seems like a waste of time in my opinion. And I wanted to transfer, I wanted to get my degree, and I wanted to start working. So I made that decision of like, I'm just done.
So you made the decision of retiring as an athlete
Hmm.
because it felt like your priorities had shifted a little bit,
Yes.
and they shifted to towards thinking about what is my future going to be looking like?
Hmm.
What do I actually want to do?
Yeah.
Because before that, your focus was pretty much on soccer.
Hmm. Yeah, I
And
loved it.
for the Canadians out there, because Canadians don't have junior college,
Okay.
which is a lot of people refer to as JUCO.
Yep.
So can you explain to the Sean's, Jennifers, and the Sarahs in Canada?
Yep. So basically, it's college, but it's not like an actual university. You just get your associates there. It's not where you can get your bachelor's. It's not graduate school. It's just kind of like a stepping stone into an actual university, and it's typically on the cheaper end. So you can get all of those general ed classes out of the way, and then transfer into a school, and you have those credits. So then I did 2 years there, and then 2 years at the actual university, and I was able to do all my actual core classes, and I didn't have to take all of those
Right.
boring English and
But
math. And
what would be a reason for an athlete to go to JUCO?
it is easier to get into a JUCO. So if you're not necessarily, like, I know for 100% that I was nowhere near being a D1 athlete. It's definitely easier to make it on a JUCO team than it is to make it on, I would say, D3 and above. NAI is the next closest, D3, and then so on, obviously. But I would just say it's easier, it's cheaper to go to that school, and it can also be a way for you to showcase yourself there from the time that you were in high school to then. And you have weight training probably a little bit more there. You have more practices, better coaches
Yeah.
that can then you can transfer from there and play at a different college, like an
Right.
actual place.
It's interesting because NCAA and all of this likeness stuff has changed everything, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different rules on how colleges can recruit different athletes. What I'm seeing more and more is obviously in soccer, they still do a lot of showcases.
Yeah.
But a lot of gymnasts will have like their own YouTube channels.
Nowadays, it's a lot of
Yeah.
it's TikTok,
A lot of
YouTube,
it's TikTok.
Instagram.
Right.
Just getting your name out
Out
there
there
is the main.
for a coach to see.
Exactly. And a lot of people just, yeah, they video themselves and they'll even put it, on YouTube, and they'll
Yeah.
just have them watch the games. They won't obviously play the whole game. They'll just
Highlight
get
the
the little
games,
circle,
yeah.
get themselves so you're following them the whole time and you can
Right.
see all their highlights.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy wild wild west out there.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit different. I do know of some athletes that we've had over the years that have gone JUCO just to see if they really wanted to, if they could handle kind of both the athletics and schoolwork
Yeah,
balance.
that's also a good indication if you can do it somewhere else. And playing and if you get to a D1, like that's even more rigorous when it comes to the actual sport
Right.
with practices and everything than a JUCO would be.
Right. So tell me what it felt like to suddenly not be an athlete after 20 years.
It was really weird because you would go to school, you go home, you get your snack, and then you'd go to practice, and you're with your friends, and it's super fun. And sometimes you would have 2-a-days. So then sometimes you go in the morning, and then you go at night later. So then you would see your friends 2 times in that day, and then if they went to school, you saw them then too. So for me, it was hard on the social aspect. I'm like, oh man, like I have to actually like plan things with people now. Like
Right.
I'm not just gonna see them on a Tuesday night.
There's a passive social component to
Yes,
sports.
and that was a part of it that I absolutely loved. I love the social aspect of it, and that's why I also like wanted to play high school too, because like that just led to more friends because you had all the
Right.
athletes, and we'd
Yeah.
do all things together. So that was really hard for me, and then also just like that's all I knew was like going to practice and like doing something after school.
What did you do to fill that time?
I would either go out and play soccer, but like just like with my friends or my boyfriend or something, and like
Robbie?
just,
Was it
yes.
Robbie at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Robbie was there for everything.
We dated for 5 years,
Oh,
so
man, Robbie, chime in here anytime.
and I would just go and shoot the ball
Uh-huh.
and like just do some drills, juggle, whatever. Just I never actually would play. I hadn't played in a game again in a while. And then working out, or going on hikes and stuff like that, stuff that you can't do in Texas.
Yeah.
Can't go on any hikes here.
Well, you can. There's definitely places, but you're just going to have to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
So you did fill your time a little bit with
Mhm.
physical activity and kind of fitness and doing
Yeah.
fun stuff.
Mhm.
What do you feel like was the biggest change outside of kind of the time aspect of it?
Just
What was the hardest challenge that you had to deal with?
I think just like realizing that it was over.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not like it was my decision. I mean, it was my decision ultimately. Like, I could have gone back. Like, I could have still been playing.
Right.
But at the same time, it was kind of like a decision that was made for me in the sense of the way that this went down.
Yeah.
Like, I think had I actually stayed and did like the full rehab and like was dead set on like I'm gonna make it to an actual like I'm gonna transfer it, I'm gonna play
Yeah.
there. But like I
Uh-huh.
had no idea of what school that I really wanted to go to and play at.
Right.
So it just would have been so much more work. But yeah, just the fact that it was over was just really hard. And you kind of feel lost. You're like, okay, so like what do I do? Do I go into a field that still involves me in
Right.
like something like this,
Uh-huh.
like doing rehab or training or physical therapy, whatever it is, or do I, that's what I was doing because at that time I was kind of in between of like did I want to do nursing? Should I just do business? Because everybody just tells you to do business,
Right. It's
But
the blanket.
yeah, exactly.
Just do
Just
business.
do business. So that's
Business.
kind of what I was finding. I was like, well, I want to still feel like I'm a part of that world of like being like an athlete. So that's
Right.
why I was trying to choose like, physical therapy or nursing, just being within like
The
health and
realm of health.
yes,
Right.
exactly.
And did it take you a while to find your groove in the sense of, did Stella get her groove back? Meaning,
it,
let me rephrase that question.
yeah.
So much of your identity is wrapped around just gymnastics and soccer,
Mhm.
and then to find a new Kayla,
Mhm.
was that a hard transition?
Oh yeah, I mean, I honestly feel like it seems like it's a long time, but I feel like I haven't really found it until now.
Yeah.
Like it took me a while to really like there's so many times when I was in junior college I'm like, okay, should I do this? Should I do that? And then even when I transferred, I was like, should I do this? Should I do that? I wanted to go be an athletic trainer, then I wanted to do physical therapy, and then I was like, okay, I'll just be personal trainer. Like I've like bounced back and forth through all different kinds and I've shadowed a physical therapist. I've
Right.
worked in a athletic training clinic. I've now been in here. I worked as a personal trainer for 2 years. So like I've kind of bounced through all of them and I kind of feel like which was great. I love every aspect of all of them. I wish I could do all of them.
Well, you're kind of doing all of them now.
True. I am.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. But yeah, so I feel like now I'm like I know like hey, no, this is like what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I want to be around athletes. I still want to be a part of that kind of lifestyle
Atmosphere.
atmosphere in a way.
What would you tell the Shawns out there about that transition? Some you had the luxury of having the choice. Some don't have
Yeah.
necessarily the choice.
Mhm.
Some have injuries that are career ending and they
Mhm.
just can't get back to the level that they were. So,
Yeah.
what is some advice that you would give to a Shawn athlete out there that might be dealing with something like that?
I would just say, it's going to take time. Like don't expect that you're going to feel 100% like you've like found yourself again right away. Like I said, I hurt my knee at 20 and I stopped playing. I'm now 25. So it's taken me 5 years and it's within this previous like this present year that I'm realizing like who I really am now
Right.
as not an actual athlete anymore, like actually playing soccer. So it's going to take time and I feel like I struggled with that for a while. I was just trying to find something to fill that void and then that was making me very overwhelmed and very stressed and I was like trying to push a future thing and not being very present in the moment and allowing myself to really feel what I was feeling of that loss and grieving of like I'm no longer a soccer player anymore. So the time and then also just like, you know, if you do have the choice to go back, like is like make it your goal to like I am going to do this and like have a plan, because I just didn't have that plan. I think had I had that plan of like, this is a school that I'm going to do this, I didn't. In that moment, I think I was just so afraid of this and so cautious that I was like, I just can't do it anymore. I'm
Right.
afraid. And I didn't feel like I was good enough before. I had a lot of confidence issues. So I feel like I felt as if I wasn't good enough before I got injured. I'm like, how am I going to even be close to what I was coming back? Because now I'm going to have it in my head like, you tore your ACL. You're never going to be as good as you were, and you weren't as good then.
Yeah.
And like going in more cautious is going to make you get injured.
Yeah.
So just being more confident and knowing, like, kind of just figuring out, like, is this what I really want to do, or do I let it go and then take the time to find yourself again?
I've seen it in so many different variations of, retirement from being an athlete, being a pro player and retiring, and being medically retired, just not having the mental portion of it, or just you just don't have the skill to continue to compete at that high level. I think the most important thing to understand, Sean, is that a human being. Oh, we are so close. We were so close. I was keeping time. I was like, we're getting there. One of our wonderful swimmers is back from, you want to say hi to everybody? Yeah, show everybody your medal from the World Championships in Dubai.
Oh my gosh, that's
Come here.
amazing.
From Doha. Come right between us. Bring this chair. Bring this chair right here. We're gonna put you right, seeing as you just came right in the middle. Have a seat. You're gonna be right in the middle of us. Show us your medal.
This is a team success.
Oh wow. That is amazing.
Oh my gosh, that is so
This
cool.
is the
You won.
me, so it's team success.
Team success. Man, this thing is heavy. This is amazing. Wow.
The
You want to see it,
Olympic
Kayla?
one
Yeah.
is
Wow.
heavier.
Oh my gosh, that is
Wow, that is
so cool.
amazing.
Wow, that is heavy. That's awesome.
We are
Congrats.
I want to definitely talk to you more about what your swimming experience is. What actually we're talking about is what happens with athletes when they retire and what their identity feels like afterwards. And what my biggest thing is, because I see it at every level, like I see it at a professional level, I also see it at a younger level, and then even younger, where either they get skilled out or they get medically retired, or they just actually do a full career. At some point, your athletic career does end, and then there's life after that. My biggest advice to athletes out there that are maybe dealing with some of that stress or anxiety around that is, a human being is so multifaceted. There's no human being that is just one thing. We are multiple things. And it also doesn't only happen to athletes. It happens to doctors. It happens to professionals, accountants that are like, my whole identity is around being an accountant or being a doctor. But you forget that you love different things. You have different hobbies. You have people love you for different reasons. They don't love you because you were a gymnast or because you were a swimmer or you were a soccer player or because you're a doctor. They love you because you're a human being, and there are traits about you that are lovable, and you can continue to grow those character traits as you go along, and you don't have to hang everything under one banner.
Yeah.
And it's hard because like your entire life has been swimming, right? And going to the Olympics and going to world championships and all of that stuff. But that doesn't make you, like, those are your accomplishments, but that's not you. I'm sure your husband would be like, you're a goofball, and there's a bunch of things about you that he doesn't necessarily even associate you with swimming, right? So
Yeah.
it's really important to remember for the kids out there that are struggling with this kind of identity crisis, that one, it will pass like everything does.
Yep.
And you'll find your footing, and you're human. You have lots of different traits that you can offer to a lot of different people. So, go through it, sit in it. We all go through it, not just athletes, but every single human being does. And you'll be okay. And what a wonderful surprise. You just came at the perfect time.
Yeah.
can I say?
And I think you also realize too, once you do stop playing, like what other things that you realize that are important to you that were kind of in the background because you were so focused on
Yeah.
that you're like, oh wait, like I actually really do love doing this or just being with my family or
Yeah.
being husband, boyfriend, girlfriend,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
And you realize like actually they are more important than what I was doing. I actually like having this downtime to
Yeah.
do my own thing, to just
Yeah.
read or paint or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah.
So
I'm positive that you are going to
Yeah.
be happy when you don't have to train as much.
Well, I think the biggest thing I love you guys talking about it because the biggest thing is to be prepared.
Yeah.
Be ready for the transition after being so competitive and like you said, like associating yourself
Yeah.
with profession.
Uh-huh.
I think it's really important to have someone that can help you
Transition.
transition to different life.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming your husband is a big part of that.
Oh, he's a huge part of my life. Not only swimming,
Yeah.
but he supports me no
Yeah.
matter what. Honestly, like this is what I'm doing right now, and it's really important for me. But I know he's gonna be there no matter what.
Right.
So
Yeah. What a wonderful man. What was his name again?
Matthew.
Matthew. Shout out to Matthew. And Robbie. All right, we're gonna end this. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.